let's start with this play. It's a long play. It would take the space of about 19 to 20 pages. So it would take 3 to 4 days. Okay. So that is why, and you have to submit the assignment by Thursday. That is why we started on Saturday. Otherwise, we would have started on Monday. Okay. So this play is Mother's Day, and this play has been written by J.B. Priestley. Okay, J.B. Priestley, he was let us talk about the author first. He was the son of a schoolmaster and he was born in Bradford in the year 1894. And he was educated in Trinity Hall, Cambridge. And he was a novelist, not only a novelist, he was a critic and he was an essayist and a dramatist as well. And during the Second World War, he became well known as a broadcaster. And his fame as a novelist was established by the popular novel, that is The Good Companions, and he wrote more than 30 plays since he began with The Dangerous Corner in the year 1932. So, this is about the author, the playwright, J.B. Priestley, and this play, Mother's Day, this play is a humorous portrayal of the status of the mother. Basically, it's about the status of housewives. Here in this play, the playwright has focused on the status of women, especially the housewives. And in this play, you would read how Mrs. Pearson, who is the central character in this play, and you would read how her family reacts when she tries to stand up for her own rights. Because in her family, nobody understands her, nobody bothers to thank her for her wholehearted devotion to her family. And each and everyone in her family, which includes her husband, her two children, a son and a daughter, they keep on just indulging in their own entertainment, they keep on indulging in their own businesses, and they just take her for granted and they don't pay any attention towards her, and they don't thank her, okay, for anything that she does for them. So there are various characters in the play, include Mrs. Annie Pearson, then Mrs. Pearson. Okay, Mrs. Annie Pearson, she's the main character, the central character. Then we have George Pearson, then who is her husband. Then we have Doris Pearson, her daughter, and Cyril Pearson is her son, and Mrs. Fitzgerald, who has a major role in the play and who is the neighbor of Mrs. Pearson, her friend, and a fortune teller as well. The action is taking place in the living room of Pearson's house in a London suburb. Can anyone tell me the meaning of suburb? What is suburb? London suburb. What is suburb? Just write in the chat box. Type in the chat. Yes, London outskirts, the district which lies immediately outside a city or town, that is suburb. Okay, and time is the present time. The first scene is in the living room of the Pearson family, and the time is afternoon. And it is a comfortably furnished, much lived in room in a small suburban semi-detached villa. uh, Here the playwright is telling you, if you want to enact this play, then if necessary only one door need to be used, but it is better than two, one up left leading to the front door and the stairs, and the other in the right wall leading to the kitchen and the back door. There can be a muslin covered window in the left wall and possibly one in the right wall too. The fireplace is assumed to be in the fourth wall. There is a settee upright, an armchair down left, and one down right. A small table with two chairs on either side of it stands at the center. So if you happen to, yes, Dia, you're right, it's an outlying area. And if you happen to watch any play in a theater, then you would understand the different kind of settings that are there. And it is the time is afternoon, and we have this entire setting in the living room of the central character, who is Mrs. Pearson. When the curtain rises, when the play starts, it is an afternoon in early autumn, and the stage can be well lit. Mrs. Pearson at right, both the friends are sitting next to each other. Mrs. Pearson is at the right side and Mrs. Fitzgerald at left. They're sitting opposite each other at the small table on which are two teacups and saucers and the cards with which Mrs. Fitzgerald has been telling Mrs. Pearson's fortune. This lady is a fortune teller, so she has been looking at the cards and she has been telling the fortune of Mrs. Pearson. And Mrs. Pearson is a pleasant but worried looking woman in her 40s. There is happiness on her face, but there is a lot of worry also because she is not being treated properly by her own family members. So she gives a kind of a worried look on her face. And Mrs. Fitzgerald is older, heavier, and a strong and sinister personality. What do you understand by sinister? What is sinister, bache? What is sinister? She's a strong and sinister personality. What is sinister? Yes, students. What is sinister? Yes, ill, evil looking. She's like kind of a dangerous looking person. She's very bold and dangerous looking person, quite contrary, quite opposite to Mrs. Pearson. And they both have, and she is heavier and a strong and sinister personality. She is smoking. It is very important that these two should have sharply contrasting voices. So we'll have role play now. I need one student who is very bold in speaking and the other one quite submissive and meek one. Mrs. Pearson speaking in a light, Mrs. Pearson is speaking in a light, flurried sort of tone and with a touch of suburban cockney, perhaps. What is cockney? Cockney is, what do you understand by cockney? Suburban cockney. What is cockney? Anybody who understands the meaning, who can tell me the meaning of cockney? What is cockney? Suburban Cockney. You can just respond in the type box. A type of accent. Yes, this is an accent which is basically used by people living in the east end of London. Okay, so and Mrs. Fitzgerald has a very heavy, deep voice, and which is perhaps Irish. Okay, so there's a conversation between the two that is going on. The play starts with the two people talking. One is Mrs. Fitzgerald, the fortune teller and neighbor of Mrs. Pearson, and Mrs. Pearson, the central character of the play, who is maltreated, who is mistreated by her own family members, and she's worried about that and she wants to do something about that. Okay, so I need two volunteers. Let's see if I can just, if your voice is audible to me. I need two volunteers, one who has to speak like Mrs. Fitzgerald, and the other one, one with a very dominating, bold kind of a voice, who would be Mrs. Fitzgerald, and the other one would be Mrs. Pearson. You know, slightly meek and submissive kind of a person. Any volunteers? Just raise your hands. Any volunteers? Okay, if there's no volunteer, I'll just do the explanation then. So we have Mrs. Fitzgerald collecting up the cards. She's a fortune teller and she's telling the cards, and she says, and that's all. That's all I can tell you, Mrs. Pearson. Could be a fortune, could be a bad one. All depends on yourself now. Make up your mind, and there it is. So she's asking Mrs. Pearson to be steady, and she's asking her, she's saying it all depends upon you, how you take it, how you deal with it. It is all depending upon you. So you have to make up your mind, you have to be firm, and you have to be steady. And Mrs. Pearson says, yes, thank you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. I'm much obliged. I'm much grateful to you. I'm very thankful to you, I'm sure. It's wonderful having a real fortune teller living next door. So she says, I'm very happy that I have a friend who is living next door, who is my neighbor, and who is a fortune teller also. Did you learn that out east too? Did you learn this trick, this fortune telling and this thing, reading cards and all these things? Did you learn it in east? And Mrs. Fitzgerald response is, I did. 12 years I had of it, with my old man rising to be lieutenant quartermaster. Old man here means whom? Who is she referring to as old man? Who is Mrs. Fitzgerald referring to as old man? Yes? Who is Mrs. Fitzgerald referring to as old man? Bache, respond. Yes, yes, her husband. She says, I learned it way back in East, and for 12 years, while I was living with my husband, and he was in the army, and he was just trying to become the lieutenant quartermaster. He learned a lot, and I learned a lot more about fortune telling, about reading cards. But will you make up your mind now, Mrs. Pearson, dear? Put your foot down once and for all. What does she mean by this? She said, just decide once and for all, what are you going to do about the mistakes of your, of your family? You know, the you have to become the mistress of your own house. You have to you should not, you should no longer be treated as a servant. So put your foot down, be firm, be steady, and once and for all, and be the mistress of your own house and the boss of your own family. And Mrs. Pearson, as she's very meek and very submissive, she just smiles apologetically as if she's sorry for whatever she's doing. And she says, that is easier said than done. So she says it is very easier to say such things, but it is very difficult to put it to practice. It is very difficult. This is not something which can be turned into, practice so easily. So practically, I feel this is not possible. Besides, I am so fond of them, even if they are so thoughtless and selfish. So she's talking about her family members, and she feels that her family is thoughtless. Her children are selfish. They're self-centered. They're concerned about their own selves. But still, she says, I'm very fond of them. I love my family. I love them a lot, and I cannot go against them, and I cannot be harsh upon them. They don't mean to be, and she's just giving an explanation to her friend that they don't mean to be selfish. They don't mean to be thoughtless, but I cannot help it. So Mrs. Fitzgerald says, cutting in, maybe not, but it would be better for them if they learned to treat you properly. They are not treating you properly, they are mistreating you, they are maltreating you, and it's time now that they should learn to respect you and they should learn to treat you properly. Yes, I suppose it would, in a way. Mrs. Fisher, no doubt about it at all. Who is the better for being spoiled? Grown man, lad, or girl? So he's talking, Mrs. Fitzgerald is talking about the three of them. Her husband, Mrs. Pearson's husband, her son Cyril, and her daughter Doris. And she's saying all are equally spoiled. Okay, the three of them are equally spoiled. Nobody. You think it does them good when you run after them all the time, when you run after them all the time, take their orders as if you were the servant in the house, stay at home every night while they go out just enjoying themselves. Just look at you. You are the one who is staying at home. You are the one who is taking their orders every day, 24/7, and they just go on enjoying themselves. They just keep on ordering you. They come back home, they order you something, and then you prepare that thing for them. You do, or you run errands for them, and you're just you're just working 24/7 for them, and they're just treating you like servants, and they just keep on enjoying themselves, they keep on entertaining themselves. Okay, never in all your life, it is the ruin of them as well as you. So you are harming yourself, you're destroying your entire family life, you're harming them by being complacent, by not revolting, by not putting your foot down, by not being firm, by not being steady. And then she says a very important thing, and she says, underline this: husbands, sons, daughters should be taking notice of wives and mothers, not giving them orders and treating them like dirt. He says it is very important that the men in the family should take note of should start respecting the females in the family. Okay, and don't tell me you don't know what I mean. You know it very well. You have been suffering for the last so many years. For I know more than you have told me. You keep on telling me things, but those. Yes, Lavnish. Yes, Lavnish. Bolo. Okay. And don't tell me you don't know what I mean, because I know more than what you have told me. You keep on telling me about your family problems. You keep on sharing with me the things, but I know much more than you tell me. This is what Mrs. Fitzgerald says. Okay, Lavnish, you can leave. You can leave if you have your physics class. Okay. So Mrs. Pearson says dubiously. Dubiously means she's very doubtful. She doesn't know how to respond, and she's doubtful about it. She says, I just keep dropping a hint. कहती मैं उनको बात बात में बताती रहती हूँ. I keep dropping hints to them, and very hesitatingly she says, I keep dropping them hints. Hint, it's more than hints your family needs, Mrs. Pearson. So Mrs. Fitzgerald says, हमारी family को अब hints नहीं चाहिए. Hints से कुछ नहीं बनने वाला. It is much more. Yes, I'll mark you present. It is much more than that. This is what Mrs. Fitzgerald says. So you need to be firm. You need to elaborate upon the things. It is not the hints that your family needs now. It is much more than that they require. So Mrs. Pearson, again, she's very doubtful and says, I suppose it is. She knows it very well that she has to do something, but she doesn't know how to start it and where to start from. And she says, I suppose it is, but I do hate any unpleasantness. He says, I cannot have, if there is unpleasantness, then there will be no goodwill among my family members, and I cannot have, such kind of an atmosphere in my own family. It is so hard to know where to start. I keep making up my mind to have it out with them, but somehow I don't know how to begin. Time and again, I keep on thinking that I have to do something about it. I have to talk to the family member. They're my own family, my husband, my children, but I don't know where to start from. She just glances at her watch or at the clock and says, oh, good gracious. Oh, good God, it's already so late and the time is up. Just look at the time. Nothing ready, and they will be home any moment and probably all in a hurry to go out again. I've not made anything for them. I've not prepared anything for them. They would be coming in and they would get angry at me, and then they would have to go back again, and I'm already late. And she just tries to get up and move about towards the kitchen. And she's just about to rise. When she's about to rise, Mrs. Fitzgerald, she reaches out across the table and she pulls her down. वो बोलती नहीं तुम नहीं उठोगे, just sit down, settle down. Let's start now. Let's begin from now. And she says, let them wait or look after themselves for once. They're grown-up children. You have a husband and your children are grown up. Let them wait for some time, or let them wait for once, and then let them just look after themselves for once. This is where your foot goes down. So she says you have to start to show them who you are. You have your own individuality. You are not a servant to them. Okay, start now. And she just lights a cigarette from the one she has just finished. And Mrs. Pearson, she's very embarrassed. She doesn't know what to do and what to say to her friend. And she just says, Mrs. Fitzgerald, I know you mean well. She says, I know you mean well means I know you're my good friend and you mean good for me. In fact, I agree. I totally agree with you. This is what Mrs. Pearson says, but I just can't. And it is no use you trying to make me. Okay? If I promise you, if I say that I promise you that I would really have it out with them, I know I wouldn't be able to keep my promise. If I promise you today that today I'm going to talk with them, yes, Jaspreet. Jaspreet, what do you want to say? I have an event now. Okay, okay, all the best to you if you are part of the state championship. You can go, you can leave. Okay. If I promise you I would really have it out with them, I cannot keep my promise because I know that I would not be able to, even talk with them. So it is very difficult to make them understand, and I won't be able to do it. I will not be able to handle that situation. So Mrs. Fitzgerald said, then let me do it. If you cannot do it, then let me do it. And Mrs. Fitzgerald is flustered. She appears to be very confused. She says, oh no, thank you very much, Mrs. Fitzgerald, but that wouldn't do at all. Why wouldn't it do? Because it is my family. I cannot let a third person to intervene and speak for me. If something is to be done, it is me who has to speak, not anybody else. It couldn't probably possibly be someone else. They would resent it. What do you mean the resentment? They would resent it. What is resent? Yes, they would revolt against it, they would get angry, they would hate it, and they would not listen because they would not listen to a third person, speaking for their family. And really, I couldn't blame them, and I would not blame them for that because if somebody has to do the talking, then it is me, not anybody else. I know I ought to do it. I know it that it is my family and I have to do it. But you see how it is. She looks just apologetically across the table, smiling rather miserably. Coolly, you haven't got the idea. Mrs. Fitzgerald says, you don't know what I'm saying. You have not got the idea. And Mrs. Fitzgerald is again bewildered. She's confused and she says, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you asked me to let you do it. वो कहती मुझे लगा कि तुम बोल रहे हो कि मेरी जगह पे तुम बात करो. This is what I thought. I did, but not as me as you. I would do it, but not as myself, not as Mrs. Fitzgerald, but as Mrs. Pearson. So she's totally confused, and she says, "But I don't understand. You couldn't be me. How can you turn into me? Okay, how can you be me and do the needful? I have to do it. How can you turn into me?" And very coolly, Mrs. Fitzgerald says, we change places, or really we change bodies. I know this trick. I can change I can be you and you can be me. And we can change bodies. We can change our personalities. You look like me and I look like you. But she says this is totally impossible. How on earth can such a thing happen? But how do you know? Ever tried it? So Mrs. Fitzgerald says, how can you be so sure that this is impossible? Have you ever tried such a thing? And Mrs. Pearson says, no, of course not. I've not tried. I've never tried such a thing. And Mrs. Fitzgerald very coolly says, I have. I have done such a thing earlier also. Not for some time, but it still ought to work. It will work. Even though I did it quite some time back, but still I know that it is going to work. And this won't last long. It is not going to be a lifelong thing. It is not going to last long, but long enough for what we want to do. And what is it that we want to do? He says long enough for what we want to do. What is it that we want to do at school? Speak up. Don't. Yes, Tanisha. You're right when you say that she gets proper respect by her from her husband and from her kids. So she says that this is what we need to get. This is what is our aim. Okay, so she says that it won't last but long enough for what we want to do, and we want that what is it that we want to achieve? It is that your children and your husband should know, yes, to teach lesson to her children and her husband to respect her, that she also has, somebody else had a type, she also had self-respect, she also had self-esteem, and she wanted her family members to understand that. And she says, I'd learned it out east, of course, where they're up to all these tricks. She holds her hand out across the table, keeping the cigarette in her mouth, and she just says, just hand me your hand, give me your hand. And Mrs. Pearson is again very doubtful, and she says, well, I don't know, is it right? I don't know whether it would sound right or it would appear right or not. And Mrs. Fitzgerald says, it's your only chance. This is the only chance that you have. Just give me your hands and keep quiet a minute. Just keep quiet for a moment. Just give me your hand. And I will speak out some, magical spell or some mantras or such things, and our bodies would be interchanged. Just don't think about anything. And she just takes her hands and she says, just look at me. They keep on staring at each other for a moment, and then she mutters some magical spells, magical words, and she says, Ashtra. Ashtata dum, ashtata lam, ashtata lam dum domas. And then she just utters these magical words, and this little scene. If you are, doing role play, if you're acting in it in theater, it should be acted very carefully because we have to assume that the personalities change bodies. There is interchange of bodies, and then what happens after the spell, after that magical spell? What happens? Both women still grasping hands, they go lax. Their bodies become very light, as if life were out of them. Then both come to life, but with the personality of the other. So, what does this mean? With the personality of the other. Now, Mrs. Pearson has the personality of Mrs. Fitzgerald, and Mrs. Fitzgerald has the personality of Mrs. Pearson. Okay, and each must try to adopt the voice and mannerisms of the other. Now Mrs. Pearson is the one who would be very bold and dominating kind of a person, and Mrs. Fitzgerald would be meek and submissive one. Mrs. Pearson is bold and dominating, and Mrs. Fitzgerald is nervous and fluttering. So Mrs. Pearson now if the dialogues where Mrs. Pearson is having the personality of Mrs. Fitzgerald. See what I mean, dear? She notices the cigarette. Here, you don't want that. She snatches it and puts it in her own mouth, puffing contentedly. So she is very fond of having cigarettes. So it's very satisfactorily. She just takes that cigarette out of the other person's mouth and puts it inside hers. Mrs. Fitzgerald, now with Mrs. Pearson's personality, looks down at herself and sees that her body has changed, and she gives a scream of fright. Now, she had never imagined that such sort of a thing would happen in her life, and she had thought that this was kind of a thing that was impossible. But when she sees it, that now she has the body of Mrs. Fitzgerald, so she gives a scream of fright. She's terrified and she screams loudly. And she says, oh, it's happened. The change has taken place. And very complacently, very, as if she's just proud of her own achievement, she says, of course it's happened. Very neat. Did know I had it me. कहती है हो गया है या मुझे नहीं पता था कि मेरे में इतनी capability है इतना neatly हुआ है now I am having the personality of Mrs. Pearson, and you are having the personality of Mrs. Uh, I'm having the personality of Mrs. Fitzgerald, and you are having the personality of Mrs. Pearson. Mrs. Fitzgerald says she's alarmed, she's totally surprised, and says, but whatever shall I do, Mrs. Fitzgerald? George and the children can't see me like this. कहती नहीं मेरे बच्चे मेरे husband मुझे ऐसे नहीं देख सकते. And Mrs. Pearson very grimly says, very seriously she says, they aren't going to. That's the point. Why does she say so? Why does she say they aren't going to? That's the point. Just elaborate. Why does Mrs. Pearson say, who has the personality of Mrs. Fitzgerald? She says they aren't going to, that's the point. What makes her say so? Tanisha says because Mrs. Pearson will go to her home and yes, just elaborate it more, in lucid terms, more clearly. Why won't they come to know? Because they will think that Mrs. Pearson is their mother only. Yes, because the personality of Mrs. Fitzgerald is in the body of Mrs. Pearson, but she's looking as Mrs. Pearson only. So they would not come to know about it at all. But she would have the characteristics of Mrs. Fitzgerald. She would be bold, she would be dominating, she would not listen to them, she would not be a meek and submissive kind of a person like she earlier used to be. So she says they will have to, she says they will have to deal they will have me to deal with because they will have my personality, to counter with, and only they won't know it, but they would not come to know of it at all. But because I'm looking as you only, because now I am Mrs. Pearson and you are Mrs. I am Mrs. Fitzgerald and you are Mrs. Pearson, but I'm looking like Mrs. Pearson. Okay, so Mrs. Fitzgerald is still alarmed, but what if we can't change back? It would be terrible. She's so scared, she's so terrified. She says, "Agar aise hi raha, if it turns out to be a lifelong process, if I'm not able to, if you're not able to change back the bodies to their original selves, then what would happen?" He says, "Here, just be steady, just stay calm, Mrs. Pearson. If you had to live my life, it wouldn't be so bad." कहते कि नुकसान मेरा होगा तुम्हारा नहीं, because I am the one, I would be the one who would have to suffer for the entire life, because you would have more fun as me than you have had as you, क्योंकि मेरी लाइफ तो हमेशा ही बड़ी बड़ी कूल रही है, तुम्हारी लाइफ में प्रॉब्लम थी, तो अगर तुम्हें मेरी जिंदगी जीनी पड़े तो कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं होगी. Yes, but I don't want to be anybody else. He says, I am very fond of my family. I don't want to be anybody else. I don't want to be Mrs. Fitzgerald. I want to be Mrs. Pearson only. I want to be a part of my family only. Now stop worrying. It is easier changing back. I can do it anytime we want. She says, don't worry. Don't stress yourself so much upon this, because it is very easier to change back. I can do it anytime you want me to. So she says, do it now. Okay, abhi kar do. I don't want to continue like this. Mrs. Pearson says, not likely. I've got to deal with your family first. That is the idea. Why have we changed bodies? Why have we changed personalities? Because I want to first teach your family members a lesson. I have to teach them a lesson to respect you. Okay, then that is the idea. Didn't know how to begin with them. You said, well, I'll show you. क्योंकि तुम्हें तो पता ही नहीं था कैसे उनके साथ बात करनी है, कैसे शुरुआत करनी है. मैं बताती हूँ कैसे करना है. So Mrs. Fitzgerald says, what am I going to do? नहीं, मैं उतना time क्या करूँगी? So she says, go into my house for a bit. There's nobody there. Then pop back and see how we are doing. She says, for some time, go into my house, relax there, because as it is, there's nobody at my house at this point of time. Then you can come back after some time and see how things are going on. You ought to enjoy it, and you would definitely enjoy it. This is what I feel. Better get off now before one of them comes. कहती है इससे पहले कि तुम्हारी फैमिली में से कोई आ जाए, तुम यहाँ से जाओ, क्योंकि तुम्हारे सामने वो आ जाएंगे. You would again get nervous and things can be spoiled. So Mrs. Fitzgerald, who has the personality of Mrs. Pearson, she nervously rises up and she says, yes, I suppose that's best. You are sure it will be all right? Again, she's worried. I think सब कुछ ठीक ही होगा ना? And she laughs and she chuckles and she says, it will be wonderful. Now off you go, dear. So Mrs. Fitzgerald crosses and hurries out through the door right, and left to herself, Mrs. Pearson smokes away, lighting another cigarette, and begins laying out the cards for patients on the table. After a few moments, Doris Pearson comes bursting in left. So Doris Pearson is the daughter of Mrs. Pearson. She's the first one to enter after this change of bodies and personality has taken place. She is a pretty girl in her early 20s who would be pleasant enough if she had not been if she had not been a spoiled child. But her mannerisms are not, she's pretty, but her mannerisms are not so good. She is a spoiled child. And before she has taken anything in, she says, Mom, you will have to iron my yellow silk. I must wear it tonight. She now sees what is happening and she is astounded. वो आती है एकदम से, जैसे उसकी आदत है, वो रोज बोलना शुरू हो जाती है. आते ही वो कहती है, मम्मी मेरी ये येलो ड्रेस आपने आज प्रेस करनी है, क्योंकि मुझे आज रात को पार्टी में वो पहन के जानी है. और फिर एकदम वो रियलाइज करती है what is happening in her house and she is astounded. What is astounded? What is astounded, बच्चे? What is astounded? She realizes what is happening in her house and she is astounded. Yes, she's surprised. More than surprised, it is a kind of a shock for her. What are you doing? She moves down left center. Mrs. Pearson now uses her ordinary voice, but her manner is not fluttering. She's not the one who was, who used to be nervous, and she's not apologetic at all. But her mannerism shows that she's very cool and very incisive. And she says, she doesn't even look up at her daughter and she says, what do you think I'm doing? White washing the ceiling? कहते तुम्हें क्या दिख रहा है? मेरे से क्या पूछ रही हो मैं क्या कर रही हूँ? क्या मैं घर में white wash कर रही हूँ? क्या तुम्हें क्या लग रहा है मैं क्या कर रही हूँ? And Doris says, she's still surprised, says, but you are smoking. Now she's never in her life seen her mother smoking. So she's surprised and she says, but you're smoking, mom. I've never seen you doing so. That's right, dear. No law against it, is there? क्या हमारे country में कोई law है that women cannot smoke? So there's no law against it. What is the problem if you see me smoking? But I thought you didn't smoke. Then you thought wrong. Are we having tea in the kitchen? Have it where you like, there. So she's taking everything in a very, light-hearted manner. Whatever her daughter is, whatever the daughter of Mrs. Pearson is saying, she is, replying very rudely, very cunningly, and very smartly to those questions. तो वो उससे क्या पूछ रही है? Are we having tea in the kitchen? उसका मतलब ये है कि टी प्रिपेयर्ड है किचन में, पर वो उसको दूसरे सेंस में लेती है और वो बोलती है हैव इट वेयर यू लाइक. इफ यू वांट टू हैव टी इन द किचन यू कैन हैव इट इन द किचन. इफ यू वांट टू हैव इट इन द ड्राइंग रूम यू कैन हैव इट इन द ड्राइंग रूम. बट शी मीन्स टू से दैट tea is not ready, you have to prepare it yourself. This is what Mrs. Pearson says. And angrily her daughter responds, do you mean it isn't ready? Yours isn't. कहती तुम्हारी tea ready नहीं है. I have had all I want, might go out later and get a square meal at the Clarendon. वो कहती मैं अपनी चाय पी चुकी हूँ, हो सकता है थोड़ी देर के बाद मैं खाना खाने के लिए बाहर चले जाऊँ रेस्टोरेंट में. And Miss Doris has never heard her mother respond like this, say things like this. Who might? वो बोलती कौन जा रहा है? Because her mother had never been out herself for dinners and all. So she says, who might go? And she says, I might. Who do you think? And then she stares at her mother and says, Mom, what is the matter with you? She's totally surprised. She is shocked. She doesn't understand what has happened to her mother. And she says, what is the matter with you? Mrs. Pearson says, don't be silly. And Doris very indignantly means with a lot of anger, she says, it's not me that's being silly. And I must say, it's a bit much when I've been working hard all day and you can't even bother to get my tea ready. वो बोलती बड़ी गलत बात है ये, मैं सारा दिन काम करके आई हूँ और मेरी मतलब तुम आप घर में बैठे हो, आपने मेरे लिए चाय भी तैयार नहीं करी. डिड यू हेयर व्हाट आई सेड अबाउट माय येलो सिल्क? मैंने अपनी येलो ड्रेस के बारे में अभी कुछ बताया आपको. डिड यू हेयर व्हाट आई सेड दैट आई वांटेड टू बी आयरन्ड? नो. डोंट यू लाइक इट नाउ? आई नेवर डिड. वो बोलती मैंने नहीं सुना तुमने क्या बोला. क्या बोला तुमने अपनी येलो ड्रेस के बारे में? तुम्हें पसंद नहीं है? मुझे तो वो कभी भी पसंद नहीं थी. एंड अगेन वेरी एंग्रीली शी रिस्पॉन्ड्स, ऑफ कोर्स आई लाइक इट एंड आई एम गोइंग टू वेयर इट टुनाइट, सो आई वांट इट आयरन. शी सेज, हु सेड आई डोंट लाइक माय येलो ड्रेस? आई लाइक इट एंड आई वांट टू वेयर इट आउट फॉर द पार्टी टुनाइट एंड आई वांट इट टू बी आयरन्ड. मैं चाहती हूँ उसको आप प्रेस करो. वांट इट आयरन? what do you think it's going to do? Iron itself? कहती इसका क्या मतलब है? ये कैसी स्टेटमेंट हुई want it iron? क्या तुम्हारी येलो ड्रेस अपने आप प्रेस हो जाएगी? कैसी स्टेटमेंट है? what is it that you want to say? No, you are going to iron it for me. You always do. आप हमेशा मेरे कपड़े प्रेस करती हो, तो आज भी आप ही करोगी. Well, this time I don't. And don't talk rubbish to me about working hard. I have a good idea how much you do, Doris Pearson. I put in twice the hours you do and get no wages, nor thanks for it. Underline this, very important. Why are you going to wear your yellow silk? वेयर आर यू गोइंग? वो कहती है मेरे सामने ये हार्ड वर्क की बातें ना करो. जितना तुम काम करते हो मुझे पता है तुम कितना करते हो, उससे डबल मैं घर में करती हूँ. So that is why she says, I put in twice the hours you do, but I don't get any salary for that. I don't get paid for that, and you people don't even thank me for what I do the entire day. So, and why are you wearing your, why do you want to wear your yellow silk today? कहाँ जाना कहाँ है तुम्हें? So very sulkily she says, she now she's lost her temper and she feels very miserable. Doris feels very miserable and she says, I'm going out with tonight, I'm going out with Charlie Spence. And she says, why? And wildly her daughter says, why? What is the matter with you, mom? Why shouldn't I go with Charlie Spence if he asks me and I want to? अगर वो मुझे पूछ रहा है उसके साथ बाहर जाने के लिए और मैं भी जाना चाहती हूँ तो मैं क्यों ना जाऊँ? Any objections? बताओ. आज बोल ही दो, तुम्हें क्या ऑब्जेक्शन, यू माइट एज वेल टेल मी, आज आज तुम इतना अजीब बिहेव कर रही हो, तो अगर तुम्हें प्रॉब्लम है, कोई ऑब्जेक्शन है, तो आज वो भी बता दो. एंड वेरी सिवियरली मिसेस पियर्सन सेज, कांट यू फाइंड एनीबडी बेटर, तुम्हें चार्ली स्पेंस से अच्छा लड़का नहीं मिला? आई वुडंट बी सीन डेड विद चार्ली स्पेंस. वो इतना, वो कहती है मुझे इतना वो गंदा लगता है, सो आई वुडंट बी सीन इवन, यू नो, डेड विद चार्ली स्पेंस, कि मरने के बाद भी मैं तो उसको पसंद ना करूं. He has got buck teeth and half-witted. You know, just look at the kind of teeth that he has, and the kind of wit that he's having. You know, he's not even an intelligent person. He's half-witted. मतलब dumb सा है वो, मतलब उसकी शक्ल देखो, मतलब तुम्हें उससे अच्छा लड़का नहीं मिला दुनिया में. He isn't. When I was your age, I would have found somebody better than Charlie Spence. वो कहती है अगर मैं तुम्हारी एज की होती तो मैं तो चार्ली स्पेंस से कहीं अच्छा लड़का ढूंढ लेती, और गिवन माई सेल्फ अप एज अ बैड जॉब, या मैं समझ लेती कि मैं कोई अच्छा लड़का ढूंढ ही नहीं सकती, मतलब चार्ली स्पेंस तो मैं कभी ना पसंद करती. ओ शट अप, यू नो, शी इज about to cry. She's really in tears. And she says, "Oh, shut up, mom. You know, you're hurting me a lot by saying such words." Doris runs out left. Mrs. Pearson chuckles. She has a hearty laugh, and she begins putting the cards together. After a moment, who enters? Now it is the son who enters in. Cyril Pearson enters left, and he's the masculine counterpart of Doris. So he looks like Doris, but he's the masculine counterpart of him. He's a male and she's a female. And very briskly he says, very briskly, very fastly, hurriedly he says, "Hello, mom, tea ready?" वो भी आते वही question पूछ रहा है, चाय तैयार है? And she says no. And moving to the table, why not? He says, why not? क्यों तैयार नहीं है? Because I couldn't bother. कहती मेरा मन नहीं करा तो नहीं तैयार है. Feeling off color or something? What do you understand by this? Feeling off color or something. What is feeling off color? बोलो. Yes. Are you not keeping well? This is what he means. Are you unwell? तो आपकी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है तभी आपने चाय नहीं बनाई. So she says, never felt better in my life. So she says, this is for the first time in my life that I'm feeling so good. Then he says, then what is the idea then? If you're feeling so good, then why haven't you got the tea ready? This is just a change. Well, snap out of it. He says, snap out of this mood. He says, snap out of this kind of a mood and get cracking. Haven't too much time. कहता है मेरे पास ज्यादा टाइम नहीं है, इस मूड से बाहर आओ, चाय बनाओ, मेरे पास ज्यादा टाइम नहीं है. सो शी सेज आई हैव प्लेंटी ऑफ टाइम. वो कहती है तुम्हारे पास टाइम नहीं है, मेरे पास तो बहुत टाइम है. यस बट आई हैवंट, आई गॉट अ बिजी नाइट टुनाइट. एंड डिड यू पुट माई थिंग्स आउट, आपने मेरी चीजें बाहर निकाल दी थी? कांट रिमेंबर बट आई डाउट इट. कहती मुझे याद नहीं है, पर मुझे लगता नहीं है कि मैंने ऐसा कुछ किया. Now look, when I asked you this morning, you promised. You said you would have to look through them first in case there was any mending. वो कहते हैं जब मैंने सुबह आपको बोला था, आपने मुझे प्रॉमिस किया था कि आप करोगी और आप देखोगे कि उनमें कुछ मेंडिंग की जरूरत है या नहीं है. Yes, well now I have decided I don't like mending. कहती मैंने अब डिसाइड कर लिया, मुझे तो ये मेंडिंग मुंडिंग ये रिपेयर वर्क पसंद ही नहीं है. That's a nice way to talk. What would happen if we all talk like that? This mom, just look at the way you're talking today. And what would happen to our family if everybody talked like that? Yes, all do talk like you all do talk like that. कहते तुमने कभी realize ही नहीं किया कि तुम सब तो मुझसे ऐसे ही बात करते हो. If there's something at home you don't want to do, you don't do it. If it is something at your work, you get the union to bar it. Now, all that's happened is I have joined the movement. कहते तुम सब तो ऐसे ही करते हो, घर पे कोई काम नहीं करना चाहते हो तो नहीं करते हो, जहाँ पे आप जॉब करते हो वहां काम नहीं करना चाहते हो कुछ, तो आप यूनियन को ले आते हो और वो काम नहीं करते हो. तो यही जो मूवमेंट है ये अब मैंने ज्वाइन कर लिया. विच मूवमेंट इज शी टॉकिंग अबाउट बच्चे? विच इज द मूवमेंट दैट शी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट है? He says, all that has happened is that I have joined the movement, which is the movement that Mrs. Pearson, who has the personality of Mrs. Fitzgerald, is talking about here. Yes, tell me, which movement has she joined? Speak up, students. Yes, not wanting to do what she doesn't want to do. She says she would not do anything for which she had no liking because they had been doing this for quite a lot of for quite a long time. So Cyril is staggered. What do you understand by staggered? What is staggered? What is staggered? Staggered. Yes, he's almost unconscious because of the shock that he has got, and he says, "I don't get this, mom. What is going on?" He says, "What is going on with you today? What has happened to you?" And she says, "Changes." He says, there are certain changes that have come up in my life, and she's very laconic and sinister with a very evil kind of a voice, and very briefly, she uses very little words, and she just says there are changes that have come up in my life. And Doris enters. She's in the process of dressing and is now wearing a wrap. She looks pale and red-eyed. Why is she pale and red-eyed? Because her mother had treated her very badly. Okay, and she has been treated very harshly by Mrs. Pearson, and so she has not come. She's not able to come over that shock, and she has cried aloud. That is why she is red-eyed and she looks very pale. You look terrible, Mrs. Pearson says. I wouldn't wear that face even for Charlie Spence. वो कहती है पहले तो मुझे चार्ली स्पेंस पसंद ही नहीं है. He is buck teeth and he is half-witted. But even if I had to go with Charlie Spence, I wouldn't go with such a face. Again, she started with that same kind of a treatment that she cannot understand. And even Cyril is shocked at the kind of this drastic and sudden change in his mother's attitude, and he says, "Oh, shut up about Charlie Spence. And anyway, I am not ready yet. I'm just dressing. And if I do look terrible, it is your fault because you have treated me like that. You made me cry. Okay? So you have treated me like that, and it is you who had made me cry. That is why I am looking terrible. So it is all your uh, fault. Okay? So just put a mark here. We shall continue from here on Monday. Okay? Fine. Is it fine? So we shall continue from here on Monday. Yes.